Support for this episode is brought to you by SipTequila.com. They are your number one trusted source for ordering all your tequila and agave spirits that will be shipped direct to your door safely and securely. That's SipTequila.com. Two worlds, one spirit. When you take 100-point Cabernet Sauvignon French oak barrels and melt them with some of the best tequila being produced, you get something truly special. My guests today have done just that. With their expertise in wine and deep passion for tequila, they've created El Negocio, an authentic, additive-free luxury tequila that is sure to impress wine lovers and tequila aficionados alike. We're going to hear their story and taste through their lineup on this episode of the Agave Social Club Podcast, hosted by me, Doug Price. Welcome to the show. This is the Agave Social Club Podcast. I'm your host, Doug Price. I'm here with founders Adam Craun and Nicholas Lutz from El Negocio Tequila. Guys, welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure to be here.
Adam, you've got a large background in the arts as you were a classically trained artist. You're no stranger to the spirit world as you made quite a name for yourself in the wine world. And now you and Nicholas, you guys have set your sights to tequila. Tell me a little more about your background and kind of the roadmap from artist to vintner to now making exceptional tequila.
Yeah, well, originally I live in California now in Los Angeles, a town called Manhattan Beach. And I grew up on the East Coast, right outside Washington, D.C., in a town called Bethesda, Maryland. I was a swimmer, and I actually paid for me to go to college in New England. I went to Boston University. And I was a machine kind of growing up swimming 10 to 12 times a week and never was exposed to alcohol, but I found it in college. Really found craft beers in college, actually. Was an artist, studied fine arts in college. I was a painter. And then after school, I moved to Chicago for a minute, and then I moved to Los Angeles in 1998 and built my life out here. Once I got to California, I just wanted to see what the wine world was all about, and I didn't really know the difference between red and white wine at the time. So I just kind of fell in love with it, would go to our local grocery store and buy different types of wine and fell in love with it that way. How I got into the wine business, actually, I had two other business partners in Memento Mori. That's the name of my winery in Napa Valley, California. One of my business partners, Adriel Loris, was kind of a serial CFO in Silicon Valley, the smartest guy in the room. And he bought a timeshare in Napa Valley in 2005. At the time, he would go up from San Francisco up to the Napa Valley, which is about a 45-minute drive every weekend, back and forth. And so I would take a $39 Southwest flight and fly up and meet him once every month or so. And during that time, we for a couple of years, actually, we drank our way through the entire Napa Valley. And we got to hang out with the locals and dine everywhere there. And all the locals were winemakers. So we started collecting wines and kind of just fell in love with the romantic idea of wine.
Yeah, what was it that drew you in? I mean, the idea of terroir as you're kind of newer into wine, but what was it hearing their stories or seeing the process? But what was it that really kind of made you fall in love with it?
I love that question. It's a lot of it. It's the families that are farmers, the business owners that are trying to create these small brands that they love and have such personal meaning to them. Yeah. And I just fell in love with the community there. And Nicholas and I like to say we have a special relationship with alcohol, but it's one of those things. He's a big collector, as I am too. And then we started getting invited to harvest up in Napa Valley. And at one of those harvests with another proprietor of a winery called Realm Cellars, Juan Mercado, he asked Adriel and I, why don't you guys do this? And on a whim, we scraped together 5 or 10K. We bought one French oak barrel and half a ton of grapes, and we made 300 bottles of Cabernet Sauvignon in 2008. And all of our friends and family bought it, and that's how it started. We rebranded everything to Memento Mori in 2009, and we launched our brand in 2010 with one other business partner, Hayes. And that's how we started. And we made 151 cases and no one would buy a bottle. And so we just hustled and traveled is for years and years trying to build the brand, and that's how it started.
And now, I mean, that's a very sought after. I mean, you've built a cult following with that brand. I mean, so for you guys to grow it, for people that said, hey, we just passion to jump into it, it's got to be pretty awesome. And back to what you're saying about why you love it, as you're saying that, all of that, it hits with tequila. All of that hits with the people that you meet, the producers that are making the tequila, the land. All of that just runs in line with why we all love tequila. And so it's pretty awesome to see that that's universal. I mean, from good quality spirit to good quality spirit, wine, tequila, that's universal. And that's a pretty special thing.
It really is. Our brand, El Negocio, we call it a vintner's style tequila because we approach tequila exactly with the same love and care that we do a world-class wine. Yeah. So it starts in the vineyards, just like it starts in the agave fields. And it matters how that's grown. The agave that we like to use for El Negocio, it has to be properly mature, right? So that's a Chava decision, and we empower him to make those decisions for Nicholas and I. Our directive is clear. You buy the top tier A1, the best grade agave that you can find. Yeah. And so we're trying to empower Chava, and we'll get into that in a little bit more with, we want you to make decision based on the quality and no other decisions. So make the best product you can. If we give you all of these tools, the same way we did with our winemaker in Napa Valley, Sam Kaplan, is if we give you all the tools, what is the dream project that you could make? And so we're empowering Chava to do the same. He's not restricted by the family name or the other brands that are making decision by cost or for whatever reasons. When you start a business, those decisions are made. For Nicholas and I, it is quality first, and then everything is built around the juice. Everything else, the packaging, the branding, the storytelling, all that. But if the quality of the juice doesn't deliver, you're dead in the water.
And Nicholas, it seems like you don't like to rest, as you've been starting companies since you were 17 years old and have got on to many successful ventures, latest being El Negocio. Tell me a little bit about your background and then how did you and Adam get together?
Yeah, so my background, I grew up outside of Seattle. So I actually grew up on a farm, raised horses, moved down to San Diego for college, met my wife, I have 2 kids now. I actually moved up to San Clemente, met Adam at Hayes' house, his what would be his future business partner, Memento Mori, and then met Adam. They started Memento Mori together. I was actually the first customer, strangely enough, of Memento Mori when they couldn't sell it to anybody. Fast forward 5 years, now his wife and my wife travel the world together. They're probably better friends than Adam and I are now because we work together.
That's true.
So it is true. They're probably texting right now, as a matter of fact. And then Adam and I, actually, we were sitting at the top of a mountain in Tahoe on a guy's ski trip, and we had talked about doing a project together for a long time. And actually, the song "The Business" came on, and we settled at that point really on making a tequila, and came up with the idea of, utilizing his 100-point Cabernet Memento Mori barrels to age that.
I love it. You guys coming together, you're on a trip. We hear this story a lot, and I know the quality is what you guys are after, but there's always this story to tell, and you guys are on a trip going, hey, why don't we do this? And you're bringing in Adam's love for, both of you guys have a huge wine background, but just with these barrels. But there's a lot that goes into finding the right partner to make your tequila. This is, as we mentioned, coming out of NAM 1123 with Chava, yes. The Cask Queen distillery. Hands down, one of the best distilleries producing tequila right now, led by Chava, his father, his brother, Ben. Did you know, hey, this is what we're after? Did you go right to the top? Did you already have these barrels that you said, I know I'm using these barrels? Or what was that story as... it's a lot more than just saying, hey, you want to make tequila? Yeah, let's make tequila. What was some of those early, inceptions of the conversation and how you guys found Chava and got to Cask Queen?
It's always who you know, right?
Yeah.
And luckily, me knowing Adam helped get the barrels, but then him having his wine with a gentleman named Wero down in Guadalajara was huge, because through Wero, who's now become a very close friend of ours, we were able to meet a dozen or more of the best distillers, master distillers throughout the valley and in the Highlands also. And so we spent multiple trips going down there and interviewing. So it was a really long and drawn out process. And actually the last distillery we met with, and I think Wero Chom did this on purpose, was Casco in Chava. And we went in there, we left a little bit tipsy, actually, when we finally left there. But we were absolutely blown away because in Chava, we really found everything that we were looking for, right? Chava is no nonsense. I'm going to make it the traditional way. I'm going to make it the right way. And even if you have a great idea, if it goes against the traditional, method of making high quality tequila, he's just not interested. He's not interested in Cristalino. He's definitely not interested in additives. He's interested in a true story, a real product, and making something that had, him and father and his grandfather would have been proud of. So for us, after meeting him, it was game over. That's who we wanted to work with. And actually, when we got in the car to go home with our friend, we said, "Hey, who do you think we want to go with?" And he's like, "I know who you guys have. I've known since the first time you guys came down here who you're going to end up with. You're going to end up with Chava." And we're like, "Oh, yeah, we are. Actually, we've decided when we were in there that we're going with him." But then taking it one step further, we had this idea on the top of a mountain. We're going to make this amazing product, and we're going to use your wine barrels. There was absolutely no guarantee that was not the dumbest idea in the world. The end product was going to turn out terrible, right? But we had done two things, right? We had the barrels, and now we have the master tequila maker. And now we just had to test it and see if it would work. And funny enough, we made our Blanco, came out great. We actually sent it back, tweaked the recipe a little bit. We put it in the barrels, and for the first 4 months, it did absolutely nothing. So for the first 4 months, we had no color.
Was this just plain barrels in California? You hadn't shipped anything there yet? Or...
Oh, no, I'm sorry. When we shipped the Memento Mori wine barrels down to Casco,
okay, so he had it.
We filled them. Yeah. And for the first 4 months, we're biting our nails. We're getting reports back. We're flying down there. We're tasting it. There is nothing happening to this Blanco that's in these barrels. I mean, it's not changing in color. It's not changing in flavor.
Really?
So we went from thinking we had a brilliant idea to we have just done the dumbest thing in the world. But then month 5, something miraculous happened, and those barrels just gave everything they could. And actually by month 6, we were done with our repo. So what you have with the repo really kind of came on hard in the last couple months of aging.
And the whole time were you guys just thinking, this is a terrible idea. We're never going skiing again, and brainstorming what we want to do as you're trying to figure out what was going on with these barrels? Yeah,
we just thought we were going to have some very, very light brown Reposado filling a warehouse somewhere.
Not me. I'm the eternal optimist. I will say I've believed in this since day one, and I love this more than anything. It's my purpose in life. And so this has all been so exciting for me. But certainly using this barrel program and approaching it like grapes and wine, and really caring about that. It's not an afterthought. It's very, very deliberate, just like the fruit, just like the directive to Chava. Make the best thing you've ever wanted to make with us. We're giving you all these tools. We have no ego in this at all. You tell us what you want to make. And I think what I think is interesting, because a lot of these distilleries, for people that don't know, they get approached by so many brands and wanting to make brands. And what's the differentiator there? They can almost like take orders for customers to make their own brand. Yeah. And ours is a different approach. We want to give Chava those tools to, hey, if you could make a really unique project, and you choose the alcohol percentage, we'll give you these barrels and the tools, literally the best barrels, French oak barrels from the best cooperages in the world to age them. You go out and find us the best agave, and let's see what happens. Let's take that risk. And that's what this brand is about. Like I said off camera, Chava's a dear friend. And I've said this multiple times. I don't know if there's anybody making better tequila than him. He's in a league, and there's so many, there's other legends up there, but I strongly believe in the future, he's going to continue to carry the torch for great, amazing tequila. That being said, I don't think there are a ton of newer brands going to his distillery that are getting that opportunity. It's one thing to say, I want you to make my tequila. It's another thing for him to say, I will make your tequila, because his production right now, he's growing his own brand, Casquine, which is phenomenal, and production. What was it
that you guys were able to not convince him, but was it the idea of your wine background and the barrels, or did you guys say something that just sparked his, curiosity to say, yes, we want to have a partnership with you guys to make this brand?
We're passionate about this. Like I said, Nick and I don't have an ego in this. We love Mexico. We love the culture. We love the tequilas. And this brand, Chava, for people that don't know Chava Rosales, he is, for all intents and purposes, famous in Mexico among the real tequila geeks down there.
Yeah.
In the United States, people don't really know who he is. We do because we're kind of tequila geeks, we're alcohol geeks, and so we hear his name in Cascawen often.
Yeah.
But the majority of the population doesn't know who this guy is. And our brand is about showcasing his artistry. This brand is about Chava. And branding is such a huge part of any product and brand in the world. Nick and I have a philosophy, that the best books and poems and songs, they'll never be read or heard. And because they didn't get out there for people to hear and read and see, and because they were branded wrong. And if you can brand, like these winemakers in Napa, some of the best winemakers in Napa, they'll never be known because they didn't have the right branding to get their name out. And it's really kind of a shame, to be honest. And so this isn't a sad song about that, but we want to showcase how amazing this guy is. And that's what our brand is about.
You know where your tequila is being made. You've got the name. Both of those are huge steps in this process. Other than maybe a little scary few months of trying to figure out what these barrels are going to do, were there, Nicholas, any other ups and downs throughout this process as you guys were locking this in? Did you think like, oh no, me and Adam are going to lose our friendship? What are our wives going to think as they're such good friends? Or what were some of the challenges and ups and downs that you guys had in these early stages?
So I come from a background of multiple things, but construction being the primary one. I do a lot of work in hospitals, but I'm very used to start and stops being guaranteed. Okay. I'm used to a timeline that makes sense. I've had to become used to doing business in Mexico and with a farmed product and timelines that kind of move and ebb and flow. So I've had to learn a little bit of patience there, but our partner at Cascawen's been great in kind of teaching me those ropes. Yeah. Funny story, when we first went down there, I was all excited and I created a Gantt chart of, okay, we're going to start here and then we're going to have a product here, and it was about the 6-month timeline. And a year later, when we finally got our product, I realized why everyone on the other side of the table was just smiling as I was going through this big presentation on how we were going to be done in 6 months. So that, along with Mexico customs, I've learned patience and understanding.
Little different there.
Yeah.
Adam, for you with background, already creating one brand with Memento Mori, how did that teach you, prepare you as you're coming in? I mean, this is now, like Nicholas was saying, this is another country where things are a little different. But what was it that you learned from your background in the spirits industry to bring for El Negocio?
Well, I think with any business, the relationships that you have are everything.
Yeah.
And so when you go into business with someone like Nick and I, for all intensive purposes, it's a marriage. And so you trust that person implicitly. And so that part has been an amazing aspect of our brand. I love that guy. But I think to answer your question, I don't know. I think there's a lot more differences between the wine world and the spirits world than I thought there was more. The actual making and the processes of making wine are eerily similar. But the business side is very, very different. And so we're learning as we go.
And I've got these 3 samples in front of me. We've got your Blanco, your Joven, and your Reposado. I want to have you guys talk us through each one as we start with the Blanco. I know Chava has got multiple tools at his disposal, from the brick ovens to Tahona to roller mill. So walk us through a little bit of the process as we get into this Blanco.
Sure. So again, it goes back to our philosophy of this product. Actually, each of our products, it's really, really important that they stand alone. So each one has to be amazing in their own right. And whatever that process is, that's Chava's choice as an artist, we support. And so ultimately, the three of us make the decision about what the final product is going to be. But the recipe for our Blanco is different than the recipe for our aged products.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and there is a reason for that, because the real tequila geeks, as you know, really a Blanco is a real indicator on what the brand can produce, if you will. So it was really important to us. While the aging was a big part of this brand, using French oak barrels, we had to make sure that the Blanco actually probably delivered in a lot of ways more. And so we wanted to showcase Chava. And so what we did is we did trials of using just the roller mill, which for listeners that don't know, it's a more efficient way of producing tequila, and the Tahona wheel is maybe the least efficient way of doing it.
Yep.
But for some reason, the Tahona method, one of the oldest methods of making it adds this aromatics to the Blanco, which are really, really compelling. So what I love about our Blanco is that it smells like you're walking into Casco Distillery. And that, for me, transports you into what really agave is supposed to taste like and smell like. And so I think we really nailed our first, people call them batches, but we call them vintages of tequila. You know, they're unique, each one. And while the industry as a whole is trying to make them as uniform as possible, we believe they're more like vintages of wine. And so we're supposed to be celebrating the different vintages of these products.
For both of you guys, for your backgrounds in wine, as you were watching him and tasting, Nicholas, even watching fermentation, I mean, all these things come into play that had to have gotten you guys excited, just with your love for wine and knowing how much goes into that process. What was that like as you guys were trying batches of this? And you had mentioned that you tweaked a little bit, but, you know, Nicholas, you tasting it for one of the first times, I mean, I'm sure it had to have been pretty special.
Yeah, it was fascinating. Just the nuances, changing, like Adam talked about, combining Tahona and roller mill for the Blanco, even moving 5% one way or the other made a huge difference.
Huge.
Also changing the alcohol content. There was a lot of debate on our Blanco, whether to go 40 or to go 43 or 42, like some of our Añejo that's coming out is going to be a 42.
Love it.
Where our Repo's a 43. So back to what Adam talked about, we really want to get out of Chava's way and respect, his expertise on all these products. That's probably the most important thing to our brand, right? We brought on Chava for a reason. We wanted him to run with, each, not only expression, but each vintage within that expression. Because next year, our Blanco could be 42. Our Reposado could be 44.
Okay, right.
We're really gonna let the juice guide the decisions. I think it's a mistake to have continuity for the sake of continuity. Yeah. If the land is speaking to you through the final tequila product to do something else, that's exactly what we're gonna do. And so for our Blanco, we tasted through all these different percentage changes, and really the 70-30 landed perfectly for us. It gave us that just a nice amount of, like Adam said, that aromatic flavor, but then, also an herbal quality to it, and a sweetness and a smooth finish that some of the other percentages just did not do.
Adam, for you tasting this and going back and forth and seeing and having the tweaks, what was it like for you?
I'm so proud of Chava. When I drink that, that's what I like about this the most. I can't express to you. This is about showcasing this artistry. And this artist specifically. And that's what Nicholas and this is really not about us. This is about trying to showcase this guy. And we told him we're going to make him famous on our very first meeting that we had. So that's certainly a personal, selfish goal of mine.
He's getting well on his way, especially when he walks around Guadalajara. He's like the mayor of that place. I mean, he's getting on his way.
But certainly we'd love to have you down at the distillery when we're there as well and taste through what we're tasting through. And you can really see what the barrel program does to these expressions and how much of an impact it really has. It's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, look, this Blanco, I mean, it's just got everything you want to see in a Blanco. I mean, that crispness, that clean, that minerality is there. I mean, this is something to sip on. And I love that you guys are going, hey, Chava, we're not looking for one base and then that base goes into the barrel and then just continues on. And there's nothing wrong with that, as many brands do that. But I mean, he's making different tequilas. It's different. It's different production processes for him. And for him to go, hey, I mean, your notes have got to be really detailed, because you go, well, what are we making today? We're on the Blanco. Okay, the Blanco is going to be this, and that's going to be different than what we go into the barrel. So really great with this Blanco. That being said, I've got the Joven, and I was going to maybe jump to the Repo. So the base for these are different because it's not the same base. How did you guys create that and just say, hey, Chava, do your thing, and you tested it, but that's a different Blanco that becomes the Joven, the Reposado, Añejo, and so on, correct?
Yeah. So with that, we wanted the roller mill was great by itself, but to Adam's point, we wanted a very distinct Blanco to stand on its own. Yeah. But we did want a little bit of continuity going into the barrel program, right? So we could really taste what those barrels were doing to us. That is an aged product, right? You're tasting more of the barrel, you're getting that aging process, and you're getting that fit and finish and smooth feel from the barrels. And so year over year, we wanted to have some continuity. Now, again, the alcohol percentage might change year to year, but Chava's recommendation was actually that we go in with the roller mill to have some consistency and really feel out the barrels themselves as we go through the aging process.
This Joven, this is a blend of your Blanco and the Reposado. So is that Blanco the original Blanco that's blended with your new Reposado, or is it the roller mill Blanco for that continuity?
This is our actual Blanco that's blended with the Repo.
And what made you guys say, hey, let's take care. A Joven's going to be a Blanco blended with any aged expression. You guys went with a Reposado, but what was it that made you guys want to come out with a Joven?
We wanted to try it. We wanted to sample it, see what we got, right? Yeah. And we also, and we're going to do this every single year. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. For example, we tried to do a Blanco Rosa this first vintage. It wasn't perfect, so we did not release.
Okay.
And we're going to do that every single year. So, if the Blanco turns out like it did this year, it'll be another small production for us next year. But it's all based on quality and what the juice is telling us to do.
And Adam, with these barrels, you're shipping these barrels. I mean, tell me a little more about these 100-point. These are French oak. These are Cab Sauvignon barrels, correct? And they're coming from California that previously held Memento Mori. Are they wet and then shipped down, or what's the process with incorporating these barrels?
Yeah, so great question, and a lot of thought went into this. And so these barrels, I can't express to you enough. They are earmarked for the best producers for wine in the world. So they're several $1,000s a piece just if you can have access to these barrels. And we're fortunate enough at Memento Mori to have them. So we age, they're all 100% French new oak. When we age our Memento Mori wines, we make about 4,000 cases of that wine now. And then at the end of those 3 years, we usually pull them in June timeframe. And then Nicholas and I, we ship those barrels from Napa Valley down to Cascawen. So, funny story. We were so excited that the first vintage, we shipped them down to Cascawen, and Cascawen just wasn't ready for us. And so they sat outside at Cascawen for almost a year, and they dried out, and we lost them. And wow. That was difficult to stomach, I will tell you, but we learned a lesson. So, the timing is very important. The idea is that every time that we finish a vintage of Memento Mori, we immediately get them down to Cascawen as we improve our processes.
And you say, how quickly can you get these filled?
Pretty much
to avoid any drying out. No, I love it. I love seeing, again, the barrel interplay. And for you guys with the wine background to go, like with anything, you don't know what it's going to do. I mean, even if there are barrels that you're familiar with and you go, hey, how is this going to interplay with a tequila for an añejo, extra añejo? There's a lot of just trial and error, and you're tasting and you guys are saying, hey, we're going to pull this once this is ready. I mean, this Joven here, very light in color, and you don't even see it because the bottle you have for the Joven is this gorgeous matte black. I mean, you just can't really see the liquid in this for the Joven, but very light in color. But you've got a Reposado that's 4 months, and we're going to get to that Reposado. But I imagine you guys are pulling one based on what Chava's kind of giving you some insight on, but also going, hey, we're not aging to age, we're aging to taste, and to go, hey, we tasted it, it's ready, let's pull it, and then to add it with this Blanco?
Yeah. So, something that's interesting, and there was a strategic reason for doing that, is that this Joven will essentially be different every time. We'll be blending different products. So the color, it will look different. And so we have a matte black. First of all, we love matte black. And so
it's beautiful.
So it's going to be a different color. So we want the consumer to understand that it is our Joven and it's a unique blend every single time. But since it has a different color, we want people to understand that everything we make is extraordinarily special. But this will be really unique and different from everything. But again, Chava's decision about what that blend is going to be and the percentages, it's his baby.
This Joven's great. I love that we're seeing more incredible Jovens. This lightness here, you've got that Tahona blend of that Blanco coming in with this Reposado, and that Reposado's coming in a little higher ABV. So, it really showcases that Blanco, but then when that Repo gets into it, it to me just kind of, it rounds it. It just brings it up another level of profile and complexity with it, and a really, really delicious sipping Joven with what you guys have for this first lot. When did you guys release this? How new is this?
It came out end of January.
Yeah, I mean, for people to get this, I get anise, I get some cinnamon off of this, and like I said, as we're marrying the barrels to these agaves, you're also doing the same thing with your original Blanco to this Reposado, which is really impressive. Did I see you guys recently? Were you at Coachella? Did I see bottles of was it this or the Repo I've seen on social media?
Yeah, this is a fascinating story, actually. So one of my customers at Memento Mori and one of my best friends now is the president of AEG.
Okay.
And they're global touring, and they produce Coachella and Stagecoach, kind of some of the biggest bands and acts and shows in the world. And he's head of the global touring, unbelievable human being, A+ human being. And he called and said, we normally gift a bottle of another producer. I won't say who it is, but a producer as a thank you to all of the artists that are playing at Coachella. And he said, I would much rather gift them a bottle of El Negocio as a thank you from us. And so Nicholas and I scrambled and they bought a few hundred bottles to gift to all the artists. And one of the larger artists that performed on Coachella on Saturday took a bottle out on stage.
I saw it, yeah.
He was on the main stage and he drank half a bottle of it during his performance, by the way, which is amazing.
We don't know if I'd recommend that much, but pretty awesome for him to be out there enjoying it. Yeah.
I'm impressed. So, I had, my phone blew up with about 50 people, I had friends out there and said, is that your tequila that guy's drinking on stage right now? And it was. So it's really neat. It was a kind of a just happenstance that happened. I'm really grateful to my friend that he did that, but I think we're in the right place at the right time when that happened. But
hey, it's great. I mean, if he didn't already know about great quality tequila, he does now, and I'm pretty sure he tasted it, and the reason why he drank so much of it because it was probably unlike anything he had tasted before, which is pretty awesome.
Well, it's certainly a win. It's a win for additive-free tequila. And the neat thing was his manager reached out and said he'd love to meet you, but this tequila reminds him of the old tequilas that he used to drink when he was younger. And I think for us, that's such a win because we're trying to showcase what Mexico's really about. And so for me, that was my favorite part, to be honest.
So we've gone through this Blanco, this beautiful Joven, and then this Reposado. This Reposado, the color on this, I mean, it does not look like it's been 4 months, 5 months or so in the barrel. Beautiful, beautiful color. How did we get this color? You said those barrels at one point just said, hey, it's time to give. But talk to me a little bit about this Reposado.
So, wow, look at this color of this Reposado. First of all, it looks like an extra añejo. And this is a credit to using real barrels. I mean, there's a reason we use these certain barrels in Napa Valley. We've been doing this for a very long time, and the best producers in the wine world have been doing this for 100 years. And so we really have gotten to know the barrel programs really well. I don't think we anticipated the color to change that much. And so it's really, really exciting. What you'll notice is really the nose and the taste on a Reposado and what an impact it had. So we thought that we would have these in the barrels 6 to 8 to 9 months because we wanted the impact to be huge. And right at 4 months, we had Chava taste them every 2 weeks along the way. And Chava, you tell us when it's ready. Chava, you tell us when it's ready. And he's being pulled in all different directions. And he called us at 4 months and said, this is ready. This is unbelievable. And so Nick and I went down and we tasted it and we agreed. So we're really pleased with this, the color and the profile. And, certainly it feels like the flagship product for us right now. That might always change, but I love this product.
Yeah, I love that it's at 43. The nose, even after it's sat in this glass for 10, 15 minutes, you come back and the nose is completely different. It starts to open up. We talked about the color. Even on the palate, if you told me this was an añejo, I'd go, okay, I can see that. I mean, it's got the agaves there, but that barrel, and this just continues to tell the story and show when you've got great agaves and people that know how to utilize them, and they are married with these beautiful barrels. I mean, there's citrus here, but there's also chocolate. I get a little dryness on the back end, but then flavor just comes through with it. And just a really delicious, I mean, to sip on. All three, delicious. But later tonight, I got a buddy coming over from out of town, and I think I'm grabbing this Repo, and we're just going to sit out there and enjoy this. I mean, really, really delicious. Nicholas, for you, when you tasted this, I'm at 43%, a little different than, most are coming out with the 40, but what was that like for you when you got to try this Repo?
I absolutely loved it. I was absolutely blown away. And like I said, we were concerned, obviously, during the aging process, and when Chava called and like Adam said it was ready, we were shocked and excited. When we tasted it, we were absolutely blown away. I get a lot of the chocolate when I drink that too, and I also get a ton of orange in it. Yeah. But couldn't be happier with that, and we're so excited with the añejo being now ready.
I'm listening. I know that you've got some things in the works, and you did talk about a Rosa. You said, hey, it just didn't get to where we wanted it to go. So is that something that you're going to continue to try and dial that in, or are you going, hey, we've got some other things we're working on?
Never say fail. We're going to continue to try, and eventually we'll get it. Yeah. We'll keep trying. We just need to get the right barrels down there that came from Memento Mori on Tuesday, and we get them filled on Wednesday. Maybe that'll be the key.
And añejo is when do you see that hitting the U.S. market?
So it just got pulled from the barrels, but last week, right, Adam?
That's right.
Yeah. So it's sitting in our tanks now. We just got CRT approval on our label. Because we had to settle again on the ABV with Chava. So until it was out and he said, what he thought the best ABV was, we couldn't do the label approval of CRT. Yeah. So we estimate we should be June time frame. We should have it out.
Adam looked like it. Don't worry. So June will
of 2025.
We're hoping for June.
hoping for June. But as look, we all know how sometimes things take time, and you guys. The good news is that it's spent the time in the barrel. It's where you guys are all happy with it, and now you're kind of going through some of that back end with it. And speaking of time, I think I saw on your website that 2027 might also be a great year for you guys, because are you thinking maybe that's when an extra añejo might be presenting itself?
We have it tucked away, and so we'll see what happens. Okay. That's the plan, but we'll see. Yeah, we want to make them all. We want to, again, this is Chava's making these decisions for us. He's telling us what the ABV should be. And we're not making those decisions. We're letting him be an artist. So that's what I love about our project, is that we're really letting him. Again, I keep saying this over and over, but this is about him and what he can do and his skill. and we're just showcasing it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. This lineup so far, I mean, it's so impressive. I'm excited to see what else you guys come out with. I love sharing great tequila with wine lovers because they've got a great palate and they really understand terroir. I bet it's been fun for you guys to share this with some of the Memento Mori people, some of your other friends that are wine lovers. What has it been like in their response as you're bringing them into the story?
It's fascinating. When I think of Memento Mori customers, it's like a family. My best friends, literally my best friend, my very first customer is because of Memento Mori wine. And it feels like a community and a family. And when I announced to the customers of Memento Mori that Nicholas and I were making this, it's been an overwhelming support of this brand. So it's very humbling of the community that we've built. And we're trying to do the same thing with El Negocio, is have loyal customers that we're friends with that get to know us and are as part of the brand. And I think that's what we do in the wine world that I think might be missing from the tequila world, is that it feels separate, and I don't think it should be. I think it should feel a connection to the product and the people. And that's what I'm hoping that we can bring to this business.
Guys, congrats on this incredible tequila. Chava is such an amazing guy and tequila producer. Making great tequila to share is awesome, but using that great tequila to impact the world is really great. And you guys both have a philanthropy background. There's even an aspect of that with El Negocio, with your sales, isn't there?
Yeah, so I've been involved with charity water for the last decade with multiple businesses I'm involved in. And we really wanted to tie in the water aspect back into this product. Yeah. And so for every bottle we sell, a portion, $1 goes to charity water, and it goes directly to well projects. So directly to the actual well itself, not to their board, not to people working there. Yeah. But 100% of our money goes directly to the field to solve the water crisis, which is been a bit of huge import to me and Adam. Yeah, we wanted to make sure we were giving back.
Yeah, no, I love it. I used to work for a couple different NGOs, and I've been a part of similar things and visited places in Africa and just seen, the water is life. And for you guys to give life is a pretty special thing. And to use the tool or the widget as tequila or wine to then say, hey, we're going to use this, but over here, we're going to go impact a completely different area or around the same area that still needs the impact is a pretty special thing. So I love tequila, but I love people more, and I love impacting people's lives and changing lives. And you guys, I can tell just woven throughout this interview and this story that's what you guys are about with this. So congrats on that. You guys are certainly handling the business El Negocio like you set out to do. Before I let you guys go, I want to make sure website is elnegociotequila.com. That's where they can purchase, they can sign up for access to future releases, and they can learn more about the brand. But Adam, Nicholas, guys, congrats on this incredible brand. I'm actually going to be with you guys in a few days at Good Juice, so I'm looking forward to spending some time with you guys there.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks for being on the show, and congrats on all the success of El Negocio. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
The honor is ours. Thanks, Doug.
Salud. See you guys. Take care. That was Adam and Nicholas from El Negocio Tequila. To learn more about the brand, you can go to elnegociotequila.com. Be sure to follow me on social media at Agave Social Club. I'm Doug Price, and thanks for listening.